Welcome to the latest remote edition of RPPV News, bringing you stories from across the Mornington Peninsula. I'm Catie Sharp, and our top items for this edition are our weekly Peninsula update on the COVID-19 pandemic. Councils take action to help local people and businesses. The Better Buses campaign gains momentum. Local private schools feel the hit of lockdown. Deborah Maher looks at homelessness on the Peninsula, and a deadline reminder for pool and spa owners. Now for the full stories. First, we go to Shivani Pillay for the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thanks, Catie. As at the 19th of May 2020, the total number of COVID-19 cases in Victoria is 1,573. There are 1,301 in metropolitan Melbourne and 231 in regional Victoria. More than 358,000 tests have been processed. The COVID app has increased above 5.9 million in terms of downloads. Victoria's state of emergency has been extended until Sunday, the 31st of May at 11:59 p.m. The new directions issued by the Victorian Premier on Tuesday, the 12th of May, easing some restrictions, still apply. What does this mean for us locally? Open are beaches and fishing from the beach is allowed. Parks are open. The Bry's lawns and gardens are open. The Wildlife Sanctuary opens on 23rd of May, but other sections of the Bry's are closed. The Shire Nursery team are still offering their order and pickup service. Boat ramps for recreational boating and fishing, Mornington Peninsula golf courses, equestrian centres, tennis courts, lawn bowls, croquet, bocce and petanque courts are open. However, club rooms and indoor facilities such as the showers are closed. Shooting, archery, hang gliding and model aeroplanes are permitted. Closed, skate parks, playgrounds, barbecues, including picnic benches, are closed. Shire buildings, such as halls, libraries, and the gallery, remain closed. Even as restrictions are gradually eased, it is critical that you continue to keep 1.5 metres between yourself and others, and you practice good hygiene. If you feel unwell, even if you have tested negative for coronavirus, you must stay at home. Virtual Shire meetings have become a reality with council elections scheduled for October. Last week, Mornington Peninsula Shire councillors held their first virtual council meeting, which was streamed on YouTube. The public can look at councillors' online performances in real time. Questions from the public must be submitted by midday, the day before a scheduled council meeting. The Shire budget is under pressure. The Mornington Peninsula Shire Council's income, apart from income derived from rates, could be down 6 to 12 million this year, depending on the duration of the COVID-19 restrictions. The Shire derives about 70% of its income from rates and charges, so it is less vulnerable than inner city municipalities to reduced income from income generated from fees such as parking. The Mayor, Councillor Sam Hearn, has opted to take a 20% cut in his $90,000 plus allowance, and CEO John Baker has initiated a substantial reduction in his annual salary. Councillor Hearn said that the council was cutting expenditure by implementing a business support package, quote, that has already put $1 million back into the business community through a business concierge service, a supporting local business campaign, by fast-tracking approvals and compliance matters, temporarily scrapping fees and charges, hiring Peninsula-based contractors, and introducing rate and rent relief options for tenants in council properties. He said the council was also continuing to lobby state and federal departments for financial support and relief. The draft proposed budget is on public exhibition and has been extended to Thursday, the 21st of May, to give the community time to review and provide comment. See mornpen.vic.gov.au or obtain a hard copy by mail on request. And in happy COVID-19 news, Australians are looking already at the post-pandemic holidays. Leading travel websites are reporting an increased number of Australians are already thinking about their post-COVID-19 getaway. What if stays, Airbnb and Expedia search data indicates a growing level of interest in getaways, with the emphasis on close to home? What if Managing Director Daniel Finch said, "We hope this is a promising sign for local operators who need Australia's support more than ever. Booking options with built-in flexibility and free cancellation are recommended." Stays reports, on average, a 40% increase in search, with coastal destinations such as the Mornington Peninsula and the Great Ocean Road proving popular. Airbnb's country manager, Susan Wheeldon, stressed that safety and public health continue to be the top priority for Airbnb. These searches are very encouraging early signs of domestic travel getting ready to bounce back and make a big contribution to economic recovery. So you might want to consider a road trip, although it may be hard to leave the beautiful Mornington Peninsula. That's the COVID-19 update. I'm Shivani Pillay. Back to you, Catie.
Thank you, Shivani. Frankston Council has set aside a support package of over $6 million to deal with the financial impact of COVID-19. Help for businesses includes rent relief, promoting local businesses, and waiving fees. There will also be rate relief for residents, especially those in receipt of the job seeker allowance. Community grants will receive an extra $500,000, and there is extra funding for the arts industry, which has largely been ignored by the government to date. The state government has announced that the municipal elections will go ahead as planned on Saturday, the 24th of October. The Victorian Electoral Commission has stated that voting will be done by post this year. As they won't be knocking on doors, candidates will be allowed to include longer statements in voter information packs. In other news, the Shire's Better Buses campaign has been reported a great success, with over 90,000 people engaging with the project. At the moment, around 82% of the peninsula is not serviced by public transport. The Shire has used the community feedback, which it describes as overwhelmingly positive, to push the state government for a commitment to improving peninsula bus services in the next state budget. They are asking for better and expanded bus routes and more frequent buses. Local school Peninsula Grammar has announced it is to let staff go in response to the slump in enrolments brought on by the pandemic. Fairfax reported that stressed local families are being forced to withdraw their children, while the crisis has also had an impact on international enrolments. While no cuts are planned for student-facing roles, it will affect staff in the school's administration, marketing and maintenance teams. Coming up after the break, Deborah Marr digs deeper into the Shire's new plan to tackle homelessness on the peninsula.
Everyone knows Australia has 4 big banks, but the 5th biggest retail bank is snapping at their heels. It's a bank that's been around for over 160 years, has over 500 branches Australia-wide, looks after over 1.6 million customers, is regularly voted one of the most trusted brands out of all the thousands of brands in Australia, and voted the most trusted bank in 2018. Who is this fantastic number 5? Yep, it's Bendigo Bank, the better big bank.
Welcome back. Homelessness is not new to the Mornington Peninsula, and unfortunately the number of locals sleeping rough is on the rise. The Mornington Peninsula Shire has a plan to build low-cost housing to accommodate homeless people and low-income earners. Reporter Deborah Marr takes up the story with Seawin's Ward Councillor Simon Brooks.
Councillor Simon Brooks, thank you for your time today. Welcome to our program. Homelessness, numbers reveal that there is an increase in numbers down here. Now, would that be because the type of demographic is now changing?
Deborah, I think it's partly that, but I think it's more to do with the general trend in this country, and in fact in a lot of Western countries, of increasing housing unaffordability, I suppose. So it has a flow-on effect, and I think the focus economically of housing being an investment mechanism rather than a human right, I suppose, of shelter, has skewed the cost of housing for people. So yeah, I think it's a more broader problem.
There is the issue too of COVID-19 as we come out of this. There may be a downturn in unemployment numbers too. Will that affect also the homelessness down here?
The economic impact of COVID is starting to affect the numbers now. Certainly as the economic impacts really hit, I suspect over the next 6 months we'll see more of this occurring.
Now, there's estimated there's about 1,000 people at the moment sleeping rough every night, and of course the nights are cold and they're going to get colder as we approach winter. The Shire has come up with a plan to accommodate them. Just go through the plan for us.
Okay, so we've actually come up with 3 significant documents. So the AAA housing plan, which is the overarching document that the Shire will use between now and 2030 to basically bring about on the ground actions for housing affordability in general. There's the social and affordable housing policy, which bores down into more what actually can be done and what the Shire's role is. Unfortunately, as I've discovered, local government just does not have the resources to put significant funds into social and affordable housing. It has always been traditionally the area of state and federal, particularly state. So what we can do and what these particular policies are doing is working out how we can encourage and support and facilitate others to do it. Not to say that we can't make some small contributions, such as perhaps some of the land that the Shire owns being made available. There is work in this space as we speak, looking at some of the parcels of land that we have that could be used for different models of social and affordable housing.
Now, has local MP member Chris Brain, is he going to help you? Is he already dialed into the conversation? He
has. Chris gets it. We do have regular discussions with Chris. Both officers and councillors have regular catch-ups with Chris. He has been a fierce advocate on behalf of the municipality in his particular seat, Nepean, back into government. And there is some money being put on the table to upgrade some of the DHHS properties that are on the peninsula. I forget the exact figures, but there is a significant sum of money that's being provided to upgrade and to build some new public housing facilities on the peninsula. Other areas that that Chris is helping us advocate for is to look at alternative forms of housing. The traditional model is broken, so we need to look outside the square. We need to look at how we can accommodate other forms of housing.
Such as tiny houses? Would that come into the mix of tiny houses?
Yeah. A lot of people would be familiar with tiny houses, and they are one model. There is a level of uncertainty I've discovered about the regulatory structure and where they actually sit within the planning scheme and so on. So that is a challenge for local government. However, that said, if there are if there is adequate governance and control and support for both people with the tiny house and perhaps the property owner, then I think that they are definitely part of the mix. And I'm keen to see, with that appropriate support, that these are part of the mix.
So the Shire's AAA housing plan in for 2018 to 2030, is there any budget through that? I know that the state and federal hopefully will put in some funds, but the situation would be funding. Now, is there a dollar value on the funding? How much do we need this?
There are recommendations that the Shire makes an ongoing contribution, either in kind or in actual land. I don't have that figure in front of me, but basically it equates to providing on a regular basis land and or funds in lieu of to contribute to social and affordable housing. More importantly though, it's being innovative and being able to provide that stewardship approach to allow others to encourage others to do it. A big part of it is, is advocacy into the other two levels of government to encourage investment. One of the big challenges, as I think I've mentioned, is the cost of land. Yeah. And the cost of land is more often than not the reason that a particular project or a particular project doesn't get over the line.
Yes.
One of the recent announcements by the Premier is $500 million pool of money for social and affordable housing. So again, we will be advocating, and we have also advocated to Chris Brain recently, that some of that money finds its way into perhaps assisting with the purchase of land. That subsidising that component is really, really important. That will get a lot of projects over the line.
Does it come down sometimes to education? Does it sometimes come down to people like ourselves who are more fortunate to actually help out in some way? How can locals help out?
Look, there are always ways that you can help, and there are many not-for-profits who are assisting in this space, such as the Salvation Army. The big thing is there is a fundamental structural issue in our economy. So I would encourage people to make representation to their state and particularly federal, because a lot of the conditions that have been set that have created the problem of housing affordability go back to my earlier statement of housing is seen by our generation, a lot of our generation actually, as being an investment mechanism. And people with their second and third and fourth properties, negatively gearing and so on, that has put an upward pressure on the cost of housing. So there is that fundamental structural issue. And that combined with things like the casualisation of the workforce, and as you mentioned, Deborah, people who are falling through the cracks even though they are employed. 20 years ago, they could afford to buy a house. 10 years ago, they could only afford to rent. Now they can't even afford to rent.
Yes.
So it's that inequity, and it's a generational inequity.
Look, just lastly too, Simon, the Peninsula was very busy on the weekend. It was like New Year's Day down here. We had some warm weather, and of course the lockdown has been lifted. Was there a little bit of nervousness around the Shire with more people coming down here, that there could be another spike in COVID-19?
I think there probably was. I had that nervousness when I went down to the Nepean Highway. Look, there was. We're highly aware of our vulnerability down here because of the fact that we have such high visitor numbers. And in fact, look, I'll just quickly mention there was and forgive me if I get the terminology wrong, but there was a susceptibility study done by a group of actuaries recently, a national group, I forget their name, but they highlighted the areas, the postcodes around Australia that were susceptible to COVID infection. So it's not saying they're areas that have high COVID infection currently, but they are susceptible due to their geographical position and their demographics, whether it be socioeconomic or age groups or whatever. And quite a few of our postcodes on the Mornington Peninsula were in that group. So we are susceptible. I suspect it's because of our older age group. It's also because we do have some areas of socioeconomic disadvantage, but it's also, I suspect, because we are in a place which a lot of people come and go from greater metropolitan Melbourne.
And of course, Airbnbs too will open very soon, so we'll have a lot more people down here. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Councillor Simon Brooks, for your time today. I'm Deborah Maher reporting for RPPV News. Back to you, Catie.
That was Simon Brooks, Councillor for the Seawinds Ward, speaking with Deborah Maher. MP News has reported that Mornington Shire Rangers issued 587 animal management infringements during the first 3 months of the year. While responding to over 3,000 issues, 147 cats and 292 dogs were impounded. Only 50 of these cats and 150 of the dogs were registered. More were either reunited with their owners or found new homes. All up, the Shire netted $57,000 from fines and notices. In local footy news, Sorrento Football Club President Bernie Balmer has told RPPFM Toe Punt Footy Show that if a minimum of 500 fans can't be let into the footy grounds this year, then the season should be cancelled. Mr. Balmer says it is just not viable for clubs to run a competition without some money coming through the turnstiles. Reigning Premiership coach Jamie Mallow of Red Hill has told Toe Punt that despite the lockdown, his team is in good shape and frustrated after all their good work last season to not be taking on the best Division 1 sides this year. And a reminder that swimming pool and spa owners have until Monday the 1st of June to register them with the council to avoid a fine. This is a state law requirement aimed at improving pool and spa safety throughout Victoria. Go to your council website for more details. And now we go to the weather with Lisa.
Lisa Lenoble bringing you our remote Mornington Peninsula 6-day forecast this Thursday, the 21st of May. Let's take a look at the weather for this week and into next weekend. Today, being Thursday, we'll see a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 14. Cloudy, very high chance of a shower, most likely in the morning, with possible hail. Winds will be southwesterly 25 to 35 k's, turning westerly 20 to 30 k's in the late morning and again in the late afternoon. On Friday, we'll see a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 14. Cloudy, high chance of a shower, most likely in the afternoon and the evening. Winds are going to be westerly 15 to 20 k's, becoming light during the day. On Saturday, we'll see a minimum of 9 and a maximum of 15. Partly cloudy, high chance of a shower, most likely in the morning. Winds are going to be southerly, 15 to 20 k's, becoming light during the evening. Sunday, we'll see a minimum of 9 and a maximum of 15. Partly cloudy, medium chance of a shower, winds southeasterly, 15 to 20 k's. Monday, we'll have a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 15. Partly cloudy, about medium chance of a shower, winds will be southeasterly 15 to 20 k's, turning southerly during the day. On Tuesday, we'll have a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 15. Partly cloudy, medium chance of a shower, most likely later in the day. Light winds becoming west to northwesterly 15 to 25 k's during the morning. That's it from me. Thanks so much for watching this week's weather on RPPV. I'm Lisa Lenoble. Stay safe and I'll see you next week.
And with the easing of restrictions, we're thrilled to welcome back our host on the coast with the most, Muzz, with the Surf Report.
Well, welcome back after our 8-week hiatus to the Surf Report. Obviously, if we've been surfing like most of us have, because it's the only thing we can do, the surf has been very busy. So the week in front of us, hate to say it, after 8 weeks of really good surf, it's going to be fairly average. From today onwards, it's going to be onshore at least to Tuesday with a diminishing swell. So our best chance for waves this week are probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, but it will be possibly an intermediate size swell, so flinders, maybe the beach breaks. But later in the following week, it looks like we'll get a bit of a push in the swell. So welcome back. It's great to be back doing our surf report, and we'll see you soon.
And that's all from our team here at RPPV News, serving the community with stories that matter to you. Please remember to stay home, stay well, wash your hands, and get your flu shots. Keep watching and tell your friends. Bringing you the news from coast to coast across the Mornington Peninsula, I'm Catie Sharp. See you for the next edition.